Friedrich Nietzsche's New Philosophy of Night and Nature. Part A. Nietzsche discovered an illogical presumption at the very beginning of metaphysics that has given rise to the greatest of possible delusions. It was here and then that a decision was made to journey to the bright shining sun and the beauty of the stars. For what was metaphysics but a study of that existing beyond nature, physics? The initial quest of first philosophy brought about a wrong emphasis or a wrong intensity of emphasis. Physic, natura, was then seen as having no real value in comparison to what was beyond it, and the great antithesis between spirit and nature became an instinctive starting point in philosophy. This realization is Nietzsche's main idea in Beyond Good and Evil. It does not follow that nature is bad because spirit is good. Nietzsche claims that philosophers have always been wrong in their philosophies since the beginning, since they have always started with this initial antithesis in their later searches for the true answer of existence. How could they get things right when they start off wrong? And part of the power of this bad start is that it begins with a true positive hypothesis. Spirit is good. Spirit is seen as the opposite of nature. Psyche is opposed to physic because they are instinctively known to be somehow different in substance or essence. The perceived difference suggests a perception as to their quality or worth. Qualities are usually antithetical in some way. Therefore, the simple qualities of good and bad could possibly be used to distinguish the difference. Yes, possibly, but should these simplest of qualities be used to separate the primary dimensions of creation and existence? Not so, Nietzsche says. A qualitative good or bad does not follow from what is known of spirit and nature. Nietzsche doesn't mention specifics here, but takes some other qualitative comparison and use it in place of the good or bad antithesis. Then you may have a better, more correct view of reality than is provided by this old instinctive perception. Perhaps, for instance, use the geometrical quality of perfection. Compare, say, the perfect quality of spirit to the imperfect quality of nature. Then you most likely should have a better idea of the arrangement of creation and existence. When you are dealing with the largest and most important of all questions, even the most seemingly slight of changes to your answer can have later devolving huge separations and possible tangencies. Who is slightly off at the beginning? Nietzsche asks. Is it the good-evil theorist or the geometrical perfect-imperfect theorist? Or, maybe, even more disturbing or different, might be the perception of no antithesis of qualities whatsoever. Nietzsche believes that religion and philosophy have not answered this first of questions on existence, either completely or satisfactorily. More than that, he thinks we have been mistaken, or else unsatisfied, with the answer popular for the last few thousand years. Although the geometrical perfect-imperfect theory seems elegant and most plausible, Nietzsche likes doubting everything, and he likes to emphasize the fact that not enough doubt is exercised by modern philosophers and most everyone else. A fantastic example of these ideas is given by Nietzsche in the first section of Part 1. He makes an allusion between Oedipus and modern philosophers so as to show how a falsity or a half-truth can have tragic results. Oedipus answers the Sphinx with a correct answer to the riddle. The difficulty is for Oedipus, though, that the Sphinx demon is only partially correct, both with the riddle and the answer being based on the riddle. Oedipus thinks, "Yay! I have solved the riddle of the Sphinx." Then he murders his father, the king, and later marries his mother, the queen. Seemingly, the problem of existence is solved, though the discerning reader knows there is sacrilege most likely happening here. Somewhat after this, plague and famine break out for some reason in the city. Then, an old shaman priest with big dugs and a feminine appearance, who goes by the name of Tiresias, warns the king that the famine and the plague may have a royal cause. Finally, the tragedy resolves itself with the queen's death, and Oedipus gains even more knowledge than he had before. The denouement has Oedipus end up with a type of psychic sight, such as the old shaman has, and he leaves the city to lead a life of chthonic devotion as a wandering priest. The mythic legend then finishes with the sacred vision of Oedipus upon arriving at the chasms of earth and death. The myth of Oedipus is the human quest for wisdom, power, and life. Oedipus attains all three, though with much travail along his life's journey. Nietzsche uses the mythic legend as an example of how our situation might really be at the present. Modern philosophers, and most everyone else, may be like star-cursed Oedipus was, living a tragedy out, the while they are thinking they have it so good and solved, being somewhat smug in their happy wisdom. This shows very well, maybe, why it is that Nietzsche always seems to doubt everything.